in a subject that's so subtle or esoteric as shamanic astrology, the reader cannot be expected to get all of these concepts right away, much less experience them, have life experience with them. And certainly not at first expect much realization from those experiences. So what I'm going to be doing is kind of pointing out important concepts, some of them which may not seem to make very much sense to you at first. And the first one is understanding. Your initial task here is to understand what I'm saying, to make any kind of sense you can out of my words. But an intellectual understanding is only the beginning. It's the first step in the process, and by itself it's not going to take us very far. Understanding is just that, developing an intellectual or conceptual idea of what has been pointed out. We do this all the time. The second step is what's called experiencing. Once you feel that you understand what has been said, the next step is to develop some actual experience with the idea, to begin to look in your day-to-day life for living examples of the ideas that have been pointed out. It becomes your responsibility to test these thoughts against reality and to determine if what's being pointed out actually makes sense. Making some kind of quote-unquote sense is what this is all about. Developing an actual experience, a sensual experience from understanding. Something that you can feel and use. And all experience has its ups and downs, and is the story of your embodying concepts within meaning through your own investigations. Experience is always goes up and down. That's how you identify an experience. Then we could say something about realization. It's the last step to accumulate enough experience with the concept until it becomes a permanent and living part of your life, until, as they say, you realize it. Realization does not have ups and downs, but it marks a point where your experience stabilizes and there's no more change taking place from what has been pointed out. In other words, you get it, and you get it 24 hours a day, 365 days a year. This is also the point when you will realize the emptiness of the experience itself. So it's a three-step process: understanding, experience, and realization. They mark the three-step process that you will ideally undergo for each concept and for every idea that will be pointed out. This is not to say that this is going to happen with every concept that's pointed out, or that the process is an easy one. It may be enough at the very beginning to just get a rough idea of what's being said here, and perhaps a glimmer of a feel for what it might mean in the world around you. No problem. But please don't confuse understanding with realization. With understanding, we have intellectually taken the concept in and can paraphrase it back. We can parrot it. With experience, we have actually grounded the idea that was pointed out in reality, in our life, and have developed a real feeling. A feeling for it that's sometimes present and sometimes not. And finally, with realization, we become the living proof ourselves of the concept, and we can empower ourselves and others with this knowledge. With realization, there is no longer any change in the experience. For your own sake, it's best not to confuse these three steps. The most common being to mistake understanding for realization. As my teacher used to say to me, "Michael, someday you must become the book."